Hello, everyone, and welcome to another enlightening episode of Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom, the show where we explore the inner workings of our bodies and try to sound like we actually know what's going on. I'm Ethan Foster, your resident observer of the human condition. I like to think of myself as the calm eye in the storm of conflicting health trends.
And I'm Alara Sky, your brilliant, quick-witted commentator on all things natural health. Some people might say I'm sharp-tongued, but I prefer to think of it as having a very fine point on my pencil. Either way, it keeps things interesting.
Today we're diving into a molecule that might sound small, but apparently it's got a bigger fan base than a holiday sale on pajamas. That molecule is butyrate. It's classified as a short-chain fatty acid, but it seems to have a long list of potential health benefits.
Let's clarify for listeners who might be thinking, Butyrate? Is that the name of some obscure Greek city-state? Not quite. Butyrate is produced in your gut when beneficial bacteria ferment dietary fiber. And it's so important to colon cells that up to 70% of their energy comes from this little wonder molecule.
Amazing, isn't it? It's like the VIP lounge for colon cells. Always there, always providing top-shelf energy. But we're not just talking about powering up your lower intestine. The research suggests butyrate helps reduce inflammation, strengthens your gut barrier, and even modulates your immune system.
It's basically the overachiever in your gastrointestinal yearbook, the one who was valedictorian, captain of the lacrosse team, and also the lead in the spring musical. But let's unpack exactly how it accomplishes all these feats.
Absolutely. Let's start with its role in inflammatory bowel disease, commonly called IBD. That's a broad umbrella for conditions like Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. Those are no picnic since they lead to persistent digestive tract inflammation and symptoms that can disrupt daily life in all sorts of unfun ways.
And one of the interesting things about IBD is that it's associated with a decline in butyrate-producing microbes. That's like finding out the city's best coffee roaster just moved away, leaving you with subpar coffee to fuel your mornings. Except in this analogy, it's your gut that's left wanting, and instead of missing out on a latte, you're missing out on a crucial anti-inflammatory ally.
That double hit scenario is fascinating. Not only do these patients have fewer microbes producing butyrate, but the colonocytes themselves can have trouble utilizing the butyrate that is produced. It's like a bank that loses its money supply and also forgets how to process transactions. A real lose-lose.
Right. Also, inflammatory cytokines can impede the oxidation of butyrate in the intestine. Talk about a microbial domino effect. When cytokines get inflamed, they disrupt the entire chain reaction that normally helps keep the gut lining intact. On top of that, these patients show reduced aryl hydrocarbon receptor activity, which is another pathway butyrate influences. Fewer beneficial compounds mean less support for gut barrier integrity.
The good news is that researchers have been studying different ways to deliver butyrate directly to the colon. That includes enemas. Not exactly a conversation starter at dinner parties, but if it helps reduce inflammation and improve symptoms, I'd say it's worth more than a passing glance.
Indeed. Some clinical trials have found that butyrate enemas can help with ulcerative colitis. They can tamp down pro-inflammatory signals and boost regulatory T cells that calm the immune system. Let's be honest, sometimes we all need more T-regulating forces in our lives, whether that's in the gut or out in the wild.
I keep hoping for a universal T regulator for my life, but so far, it hasn't shown up. Anyway, the effect butyrate has on tightening those junctions between intestinal cells is enormous. It's the difference between having a tight city wall that keeps out invaders and having a fence with big holes that any neighborhood dog can squeeze through.
Exactly. And that means less bad stuff slipping through into the bloodstream, triggering more inflammation. The colon gets a chance to heal. Yes, the research is still evolving and it doesn't work equally for everyone, but the foundation is promising.
Let's pivot to another area where butyrate shows potential: colorectal cancer. This is often a scary topic, but it seems that in laboratory settings, butyrate can help inhibit cancer cell growth and even trigger apoptosis, programmed cell death. That's like flipping the self-destruct switch on those rogue cells.
It's the ultimate internal sabotage, in a good way. Butyrate can help shut down genes that promote uncontrolled growth and turn on genes that tell those cells to self-destruct. You've got to love a molecule that basically waltzes in and says, "Not today, tumor."
Right? Plus, when butyrate acts as a histone deacetylase inhibitor, it changes how genes in the cell's DNA are expressed. Essentially, it can silence oncogenes, those troublemaker genes that cause cancer, and activate genes that help suppress tumors.
This is why some studies have looked at forms of dietary supplementation like butyrylated high amylose maize starch. It delivers more butyrate to the colon. Imagine sprinkling fertilizer on a specific corner of your garden so the exact flowers you want can flourish.
And in people with conditions like familial adenomatous polyposis, early findings suggest it might reduce polyp growth and lower cancer risk. Could butyrate also boost the effectiveness of chemotherapy? Some early data says yes.
Indeed. It's thought to sensitize cancer cells to certain chemo drugs. The result is more potent treatment without as much damage to healthy tissue. That's crucial because chemo can be pretty harsh on the body, especially the gut lining.
Then we have the metabolic angle. Let's shift to how butyrate may combat metabolic disorders like type 2 diabetes and obesity. People often think about insulin resistance and high blood sugar, but there's also this inflammatory component that adds fuel to the metabolic fire.
Absolutely. Butyrate helps by enhancing insulin sensitivity and regulating glucose metabolism. It does this by activating certain cellular pathways that help your body use sugar more effectively. Think of it as turning on the lights in a dark room so you're less likely to trip over the coffee table.
And it influences hormones like GLP-1 and PYY, which are key to regulating appetite and satiety. That can help keep your I'm full signals in working order. It's much better than finishing an entire pizza and thinking, maybe I could go for dessert.
Right. And all that helps break the vicious cycle in metabolic disorders where chronic inflammation meets insulin resistance. By reducing inflammation, butyrate basically gives your cells a better environment to communicate. Hey, we have insulin here. Open up.
Studies in animal models show that mice on high-fat diets, when supplemented with butyrate, had improved glucose metabolism and less weight gain. It's as though butyrate said, "We're implementing new housekeeping rules, folks. No more piling junk in the corners."
Sometimes we need that no-nonsense housekeeping approach. It's a potent reminder that your gut microbes are integral to how your whole body handles energy. If they're not happy, you're not happy, at least on a molecular level.
Let's venture into the brain now. Neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's are connected to chronic inflammation, oxidative stress, and mitochondrial dysfunction in neurons. Butyrate has some intriguing roles there too.
You'd think the gut and the brain would be odd partners, but they talk to each other all day long. Butyrate can reduce pro-inflammatory cytokines in the brain, potentially protecting neurons and helping repair those that are damaged.
And as a histone deacetylase inhibitor, it can boost the production of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is crucial for neuron growth and plasticity. That might slow or mitigate the progression of these devastating diseases.
Some animal studies show fewer amyloid beta plaques in Alzheimer's models and reduced motor deficits in Parkinson's models when butyrate is introduced. It's a tiny molecule with a massive range of influence, from the colon to the cortex.
Let's also talk about the gut-brain axis. Gut dysbiosis can feed into neurodegeneration. Butyrate helps maintain a healthy microbiome, which in turn supports neurological health. It's like a relay race. If the gut passes the baton properly, the brain can keep running without stumbling.
Absolutely. That's why we see so much interest in the gut microbiome's role in everything from anxiety to neurodegeneration. When you strengthen that axis, you're not only fortifying the gut barrier, but possibly shoring up brain barriers as well.
Now, let's expand to the broader topic of gut health and immune function. Butyrate is central in orchestrating that synergy. With around 70 to 80% of the immune system dwelling in the gut, the relationship between your gut lining and immune cells is crucial.
One way butyrate helps is by enhancing regulatory T cells, which keep your immune response from going haywire. It basically teaches the immune system to pick its battles more wisely. And we can all agree that a wise immune system is a calmer immune system.
And butyrate also upregulates IgA in the gut, which protects the lining from pathogens and foreign substances. It's a vital shield. If your immune system is the standing army, IgA is like the protective barrier that prevents invaders from even entering the city.
Plus, butyrate fosters the growth of beneficial bacteria, creating a positive feedback loop. The more beneficial bacteria you have, the more butyrate they produce, which in turn helps them thrive even further.
That's the key synergy. Good microbes produce butyrate, which helps them keep the intestinal environment stable. This unity reduces the presence of harmful bacteria, giving your immune system fewer reasons to unleash a volley of inflammatory missiles.
Exactly. And let's remember the importance of tight junction proteins that keep your gut lining sealed. Butyrate helps boost them. That's a big deal in preventing a leaky gut, which can otherwise lead to inflammation all over the body.
The practical question is, how do you boost butyrate production? For most, the obvious approach is to eat more fiber, right?
True in principle, because beneficial bacteria ferment that fiber into butyrate. However, there's a catch. If your gut is already imbalanced, loading up on fiber can cause more trouble. If you have a gut overrun by undesirable microbes, adding fiber is like giving them a hearty buffet. They might produce more harmful byproducts and keep your gut inflamed.
It's one of those paradoxes. Fiber is great if your gut is balanced enough to handle it. If it's not, you can't just gorge on kale and expect everything to magically fix itself. It could backfire by feeding the wrong bacteria.
That's where the strategy of restoring a healthy gut environment becomes so crucial. The idea is to create the low-oxygen environment that beneficial bacteria love. One way is by ensuring you consume enough carbohydrates to raise carbon dioxide levels in the gut.
Some people who have severe gut issues start with easily digestible carbs such as white rice, or even sipping water mixed with pure dextrose, which is glucose, throughout the day. That can help starve out some of the nastier bugs and gradually introduce healthier ones.
Then you transition to more complex carbs in stages. You don't want to rush and throw your system into chaos. It's like moving from reading a short story to a full encyclopedia overnight. Your gut microbes need time to adapt.
Once you've established a friendlier microbial environment, fiber can actually do what it's supposed to do: get fermented into beneficial molecules like butyrate that repair the gut lining and reduce inflammation.
Exactly. It's like clearing out the junk before you renovate a house. First, you remove the debris. Then, once you have a clean foundation, you can add all the lovely furniture and decor, or in this case, fiber that fosters beneficial fermentation.
And from there, you can reap the rewards: better gut health, more stable immune function, improved metabolic processes, and potentially even protective effects for your brain.
Yes, but it's not just about quantity. It's also about quality. You want fiber sources that work best with your newly balanced gut. Not all fibers are created equal. Some are gentler, some are more aggressive. Depending on your microbial makeup, you might tolerate certain fibers better.
Let's recap butyrate's big starring roles. It helps reduce inflammation in the gut, which is pivotal for people with IBD. It can inhibit cancer cell growth in the colon and might support conventional therapies. It assists in metabolic regulation by improving insulin sensitivity and modulating appetite hormones. It shows neuroprotective effects, fighting inflammation in the brain and possibly encouraging neuron health. It's integral for gut health and immune function, fueling colonocytes, supporting regulatory T cells, and reinforcing the gut barrier.
That's quite a portfolio for such a tiny molecule. It's practically wearing a superhero cape down there in the colon, battling inflammatory villains and forging alliances with beneficial bacteria.
The real question is how to cultivate enough of those beneficial microbes so that butyrate can consistently do its job. That's the million-dollar puzzle, but it's worth solving if it can keep chronic diseases at bay.
Dr. Mercola's approach underscores the importance of rebalancing the microbiome before you start loading up on fibrous foods. It's a stepwise process, like building a stable house from the foundation up.
Sometimes we assume adding more fiber is always the best next step, without realizing the environment might not be prepared to handle it. It's like planting tulip bulbs in a bed of weeds. You need to uproot the weeds first so the tulips can flourish.
Precisely. Once that microbial balance is in place, fiber intake can truly shine. Then the fermentation process yields more butyrate, improving the intestinal barrier, modulating the immune system, and potentially helping the entire body function more smoothly.
Let's also note that your overall lifestyle influences your gut health. Stress, toxins, and diet all matter. You can't just down a fiber smoothie every morning and ignore other factors, hoping that butyrate will single-handedly fix everything.
Right. Think of butyrate as one star performer in a symphony. You still need the rest of the orchestra tuned and ready. Sleep, minimal toxin exposure, and a balanced diet are part of that ensemble.
Makes sense. So, big takeaway. Butyrate may be small, but it's a powerhouse that benefits many facets of health, from the colon to the brain. We can support its production by rebalancing the gut first and then gradually introducing the right types of fiber.
Yes, it's a comprehensive approach. If you nurture your gut environment, your beneficial bacteria will reward you by churning out this fantastic short-chain fatty acid. And that means your colon cells, your immune system, and potentially even your brain cells will thank you.
I find it comforting that something as tiny as a molecule made by bacteria could be so pivotal. It reminds me that big solutions can come from the smallest places, or at least the places we don't pay enough attention to.
Indeed. We spend so much time thinking about our external environment, but we have an entire microscopic civilization in our intestines that can make or break our overall health. Thankfully, that civilization welcomes diplomacy. A little negotiation, a little strategy, and you can reach a very agreeable peace treaty.
On that note, I think we've covered the major highlights. From IBD to cancer, from metabolic health to neurodegenerative conditions, butyrate is a prime example of how crucial gut health is.
And let's not forget the immune function aspect. That alone should make anyone with frequent colds or allergies pay attention to their gut environment. Butyrate might help keep the body from going into overdrive or underdrive with immune responses.
Exactly. Balance is the theme here. You need the right microbes, the right environment, and the right nutrients. When you put all that together, butyrate can really work its magic.
I hope people walk away with a renewed sense of wonder for the amazing synergy inside their bodies. And a dash of caution about not overloading on fiber if their gut is in chaos. It's about pacing and strategy, not just the random addition of kale smoothies.
Well, I've learned a lot today. Next time I hear short-chain fatty acid, I'll think big potential, big responsibilities. And hopefully, I'll remember to treat my gut microbes with a bit more respect.
That's a plan. And on that note, thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. If you're still with us, we appreciate your dedication to learning, and we hope you'll pass this knowledge on to anyone who's curious about the wonders of butyrate and gut health.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Remember, the journey to better health can start small, literally. Support the beneficial bacteria in your gut, and you might just unlock benefits that ripple throughout your entire system.
Until next time, keep your butyrate levels high and your sense of humor even higher. It's the combination that makes life healthier and a lot more fun.
Indeed. See you all on the next episode of Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. Stay curious and take care of those colon cells.
Bye, everyone. Keep that inner ecosystem thriving.